Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It seems all is not well in SNP land and that there is a division between the two people most likely to take over as leader after Swinney is booted out or resigns. Takes your pick. It's all to do, of course, with the King's speech, the presentation to Parliament today by Sir Keir Starmer, or by the King, but written by Sir Keir Starmer, over what Labour are hoping and intending to do over the next, little while, however long it takes. Who knows? Most of it's going to be unachievable. Most of it will fail. But Kate Forbes has said it was a good list. She welcomed the items on it, said a lot of the things were excellent and measured and well thought out. Stephen Flynn, on the other hand, he said it was rather timid and he attacked it. And so you have this difference of opinion, this disarray really between these two very prominent members, of course, of the SNP, the deputy leader and the leader of the Westminster Group. It's not looking good for the party when you've got these two major power bases, these two factions, once again grinding against each other, and not in a good way. Kate Forbes wants a closer relationship between the United Kingdom and the Scottish Government, whereas Flynn wants more of a distance relation. He wants the priorities to be based on an SNP government north of the border. Again, more differences of opinion. And they weren't entirely happy about some of the items that were mentioned in the King's speech, but more specifically as well, some of the things that weren't. For example, no one has said where GB Energy is going to be based. Ideally, you suppose it's going to be Aberdeen, but that wasn't confirmed. And indeed, the very existence of GB Energy hasn't been confirmed. It's only a desire, which is a bit worrying, really, rather than confirmed. There was a few other things in there that will be worrying. David Lammy saying he wants to expand Britain's foreign aid. Already a massive chunk of national income being wasted abroad, rather than maybe spending it on defence and having a very good navy patrolling up and down. That way we don't need to worry about foreign aid. When you've closed down the channel, foreign aid becomes less important, really, doesn't it? Who knows? But it's all there. Keir Starmer sort of has... he's ruled out taking any more devolution. He said there's no more powers that are going to be devolved to Scotland, certainly not under his watch. Not exactly the words he used, but that was the meaning and the intent. That, you've had devolution as much as it's going to be, because any more devolution would necessitate an even bigger move towards an independence. And I think in some cases, perhaps, he feels that Scotland is probably too devolved a little bit there. There's a little bit of area where there's no control that they would perhaps like control, because the socialists, they do like to control and micromanage everything. So for Starmer, not having total control will grind, I think. He's very much like that. His father was a toolmaker, Made a right tool there, didn't he? They did pledge to have a new council of regions and nations and that. So basically setting up yet another talking shop, probably at great expense, just so failed politicians have somewhere to go when they've failed in Westminster, failed in Holyrood, failed everywhere. We'll just give them a nice little stipend and they can go and talk and, live fat off the backs of the people again. Another sort of collection of has-beens and never-weres that need to feel good about themselves. Tell you who'll end up there. Ian Blackford. He'll end up in something like that, won't he? Because he doesn't like working. He's very, very happy taking public money without actually doing anything, which is quite good, I suppose, if you can get that sort of work. I personally wouldn't pay him a thing. I'd make all politicians have to work for free. If they want to do the job, they can do it. If they can't afford to do it, go and get a real job. They want the tax proposals. Of course, they mentioned the tax proposals for VAT. Now, that's something that Flynn, it's hard to tell those two apart sometimes. It's the haircut. But Flynn said is a good idea and all that. Whereas Kate Forbes, again, not overly keen. She was privately educated. Plus, it's probably not going to happen. They've already got about 43 test cases going through the courts already. And they're even bringing in the EHCR, the United Nations Charter. Funnily enough, the United Nations Charter for Children, which guarantees education, which is only in Scotland. Scotland signed up to it. England, not so much. But it means in Scotland, they can pull that in law. And it may mean that, ironically, private schools in Scotland may not be allowed to charge VAT. Wouldn't that be a kick in the teeth for Starmer? Yes, very much so. They wanted to They're going to have another go at Rishi. They're bringing in a Rishi. They're doing a Rishi. Rishi wanted to bring in a complete ban on smoking for people of a certain age and younger, so that, you know, if you were born after a certain date, you would never be allowed to legally buy cigarettes. And so they didn't get enough time to get that through Parliament. But it looks like Starmer wants to push that through. And again, that's actually another devolved issue. So again, it could be that kids in England aren't allowed to smoke and kids in Scotland are. Hey! It's so much division. And this is the problem that Starmer has and what he doesn't like about devolution. That lack of total control. And that's why he said, no more devolution, no more pushing these things. They want to work together. Flynn, like I say, wants to keep the distance, whereas Forbes wants to move closer. Well, yeah, it's one of those things. It's all failure. But it is nice to see, at least, and thankfully, that you do have these massive differences between Flynn and Forbes, the two Fs. Simply because the more differences there are, the less united the SNP is, the less coherent its structure, then the better come 2026, when you've got these mass infighting. And of course, you're going to get a lot of bloodletting. There'll be blood on the carpet once they try to get rid of Swinney. Both of them jostling for position. Not just them, others as well will be jostling for position, trying to become the next sort of messiah of the SNP. I think going forward, the only one realistically that can do anything that would be in any way good for the party would be Forbes. Not that she's great, of course, but she is different and she is reasonably sane. She's not as mad bonkers as some of them. But it waits to see. So yes, keep the fighting going, lads and ladies. Keep it up. Keep splitting the party. Keep having your infighting. Keep having your civil wars. Keep grinding each other. And let somebody else run Scotland in 2026. Thanks a lot. Bye.